Joe?
I have a question. Oh.
And just who is it for?
For actually both of you,
Okay.
how did you end up getting on TV?
The question is, how did we get on TV? Well, there's a video camera that the lens captures us, and then they videotape it, and it was FedExed all the way back to Los Angeles. I'm kidding. It's too early. Myself, how did that happen? Dave Schrader, I don't know if all of you know who Dave Schrader is, had contacted me, as he did before with Paranormal State, said that they were looking for people for so-and-so. They were looking for TAPS family members or TAPS, a female from TAPS to join the cast and crew of a new spinoff. And I was required to send in a videotape. I had already worked with Jason and Grant and Donna on the Victorian Mansion case at Gardner. They took all of my case notes from that, and I was already familiar with them. Got a call 2 weeks later on a Tuesday night. I was sitting on my couch and got a call from Matt Hoban and said, hey, just wanted to let you know we picked you for the TV show. And my exact words to him were, can you just call me back later? Because I had to seriously absorb it. It was the weirdest thing. I didn't even know if he was ever going to call me back. Like, I thought I just completely blew it. But I was just like, just call me back later. He's like, when? I said, just give me like an hour. And so I was on a plane 48 hours later to film Ghost Hunters International pilot episode. So that happened very quick, and it was just really weird because there were a lot of people that wanted that spot. Yeah, just weird. I guess I had fit the mold that they were looking for. Joe has a better story, though.
No, I don't. I got involved with Ghost Hunters when I was working at a retail computer store. And Jason and Grant used to come in and buy equipment from me. And after a while, they became my steady customers. I'd have to go on my day off saying, you know, your customers are here, take care of them. So when I finally asked, what do you guys do with all the stuff you buy? He said, we're doing a TV show. I said, oh, cool. What's it going to be about? And he says, well, it's going to be based in Rhode Island, and we're going to look for ghosts. And I was like, what? People look for ghosts? He was like, yeah, there's a paranormal investigation team that helps people and who think they have activity in their homes. If you're interested, we love to have our fans come by the office and watch. So, of course, like a little geek, I used to be in coffee and donuts and watching the windows. But after hearing some of the evidence that they presented, both video and audio, I was intrigued. And he says, well, I've got a team that's not televised, and you can get a taste of what paranormal investigation is like. So after my second or third investigation, I was hooked, loved it. I was like, wow, you get to go to people's houses, and it's dark, and you hear all kinds of crazy stuff. And that's how I got asked, was at Jason's Halloween party at his house. He got the call from Los Angeles saying that they were looking for a new cast member, and did he know anybody? And by that time, I've been on the TAPS team for about a year doing private investigations in people's homes. And he says, yeah, I got a great guy. He's been a member for about a year, and I think he'd be a perfect fit. So he hands me the phone, and that's how it happened.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
What's your most memorable case as an investigator?
There have been quite a few, but the one that sticks out is the case we were in Denmark. We were in a castle called Castle Dragslom, and I was investigating with one other investigator, Brandy Green, and it was just one camera guy. And we were in the dungeon where supposedly Mary, Queen of Scots' husband was in prison and died down there. And we were trying to do an EVP session for like an hour. Nothing's happening, no sounds, nothing. So we were like, it's kind of boring. Let's go to a different part of the castle. So up the stairs I went, and as I was going up the stairs, my arm starts to burn and sting, as though somebody putting out a cigarette in my arm. So I mentioned it to the other investigator, Brandy Green, and she says, I'll look at it when we get to the top of the stairs. So we get to the top of the stairs, and it was cold out, so I pulled up my sweatshirt and my long sleeve shirt, and lo and behold, I had teeth marks. It was 4 teeth, a space, and another tooth. So whatever bit me was either a southern ghost or a hillbilly ghost. But it freaked me out. It took me like 40 minutes to wrap my head around what just happened to me. But that was probably my most memorable incident. Yes? Oh.
What's both of your favorite equipment that you use on investigations?
My ears. It's true. I don't really like any of my equipment Not even the laser. I like it, but I rely on me. That's the most important piece of equipment. My nose, if I smell anything, if I feel anything, if I taste anything, if I hear anything. But if it had to be a piece of equipment, just a simple audio recorder, because that's the most effective. Pick up EVPs like that. You don't have to be a rocket scientist.
I'd have to agree with Shannon. I think the most important tool you bring to an investigation is yourself, your five senses. And sit in the room and kind of get a feel for all the sounds and what may be surrounding you. And then just really listen, kind of try to tune in a little bit before you start investigating. But for me, if it had to be a piece of equipment, I would say an audio recorder or a mini DV. I seem to capture a lot of EVPs through the mini DV when I was on the show. You.
I forgot. No. When you guys went overseas, right? Ghost hunters by this time was big in the country. When you went overseas, how was the reception over there? Because I don't know if it was international yet as far as televised, but how were you received over there by the people in the towns that you went into?
I'm exempt from this question because when I went overseas, we were just taping all the first 7 episodes. So by the time I was there, no one had a rat's ass who I was.
Then they started to air, so that's for him.
It's kind of like a 50-50. Some of the countries, because of their beliefs, sometimes don't believe in spirits. You know, they say the ghosts don't exist. Like in like Arabia, Saudi area, they were like, no, we don't believe in ghosts, but we do believe in the jinn, and the jinn's big over there. And some of the places we investigated afterwards, we would get flack from the community saying that we shouldn't have done what we did, it was disrespectful, you should leave the spirits alone, let them rest. So sometimes we weren't perceived very well. Next.
I got a question.
Uh-oh.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Which stop signs have you hit on your trip? On the road.
Many. During the driving scenes that we'd have to shoot for Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International, sometimes you're on the opposite side driving and on the opposite side of the road. So it was kind of messed up for me. And I remember one very well. We were in Ireland. We were visiting the ferry bridge that you're supposed to visit the ferry and leave a trinket. Well, during one of the filming shots, I was supposed to drive and pull over the side of the road and get out of the car. Well, I did. But as I pulled over the road, I hit the ferry sign, bing, and it chicken back and forth. So they were like, cut, all right, you're gonna do it again. And a lot of the time, they would make me drive. And I remember a couple of instances where I almost killed Paul Bradford and Scott Tepperman because they'd be in my car. And I remember backing up in one of the bridges in one of the castles, and they were like, oh, you gotta stop. I'm like, why? They were like, the left wheel is hanging off the ledge. So here's Paul and Scott on one side of it trying to keep the weight, you know, so we wouldn't fall to our deaths. And then another time we were in Argentina, up in the mountains, and we were driving, doing a night shot. Now, during the filming, they've got light bars. So it blinds you, and it's dark on top of the mountain. So I couldn't see, and I'm driving, and they're like, Joe, on the side of the road. I almost drove us off the cliff. So there's a couple times they're like, all right, Joe can't drive at night anymore.
You still have your driver's license?
Yes.
I never drove in Europe because I don't get the whole wrong side of the road thing. So. Any other questions? Come on, Ellen.
You had an incredibly successful bakery in Columbus. Do you still feel pulled for the paranormal? Do you look at a place and say,
Tough question from a friend. Did I burn out? Yeah. I just didn't do it publicly on Facebook. I'm retiring. I hate the paranormal. I'll always love it. I did burn out back in 2011, and then I think one of the last investigations I ever did was at the Harley House, and it was a cold night. Nobody was interested in doing anything, and neither was I. And I think that's when I kind of realized I got to stop this for a while. I did one more private case after that, and the customer, we're not paying customers, client refused to return some of our equipment that we had lent them, and it was just a hot mess. So I'm like, you know what? We're here to help people. It's free of charge. I was spending all my time there. We had problems with that. It was just too many problems. So I built my bakery 3 years ago, and that's just what I do. I'm practically working myself to death, baking cakes, wedding cakes, and all that stuff. So I will always love ghost hunting. I just still have a bucket list of places I want to do. And someday I will, but I don't do any private cases anymore. Well, thank you. It's good to be here. It's all right. I'm here for Ken. Ken knows. I'm here for Ken. It's all good. So, you know, I think we all, and I knew this from the very beginning too, because some of the ladies that came on the show after me, I said, don't leave your law job. Don't quit school for this. This isn't a career, guys. Like, so some people think that ghost hunting is supposed to be a career for us. So when you have a career, they're surprised. Like, no, I'm just living life every day. And I'm still writing, you know, I'm still involved. I refer cases, but I went too hard and too fast, that's all.
I know I'm going to monopolize the question. You sort of answered that, but everybody now that's involved in this, it seems to be high on their list of things to do. Got to get on television. It's like in the top 5 things you do when you form a ghost hunting team. How would each one of you address someone who's just, that seems to be their focus?
Well, it's a tough one. There are a lot of groups out there who only want to do this for a television show. And I don't necessarily agree with it. I think that if you're going to get into the paranormal, that you should be passionate about paranormal investigations, period, not just for a television show. But I believe that those who are looking for a TV show won't necessarily get it. Just because you have a paranormal team and that you're all acting crazy and gung-ho about it, that you're going to get a show, because it's really hard to get a show unless it's unique, and the network thinks so. But I commend them. You know, everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame, and I understand that. But like Shannon says, you know, we're investigators trying to further the field. So those who are looking for just a show, I believe, may hurt the field, you know, because there are some paranormal shows out there that are scripted. They're not really, they weren't a team before they were an investigator, you know, looking for a show. So I hope I didn't offend anybody. Anybody else?
Yes. On the places, this is for both Joe and Shannon, the places you travel, the different cultures you've been exposed to, what is the commonality? Do you find that most folks believe in an afterlife, believe in ghosts, manifestations? So what brings them all together? What statement can you make as far as what people are looking for in ghosts and supernatural or paranormal?
I can honestly say that there was a lot of language barriers out there, so we didn't really get to know a lot of people. It was really hard to find an English-speaking person in my experiences, and if you did, maybe you couldn't have a fluent conversation with them about their thoughts and beliefs. It was the only people that we really could communicate with when you're on the road is your cast members, your crew, and the PAs that they would hire locally, or they would contract somebody to work on the set, like a tour guide or something. But in Italy, I had tried to communicate with the hotel owner who spoke a little English, and she would not talk about ghosts. The Italians are very superstitious, so it was like, motte, no, they don't want to talk about ghosts. That was like the only person I can remember trying to communicate with. But you might have gone to more English-speaking countries.
No, not really. It was about the same thing. We would have a fixer that the network would provide, make arrangements so that if we did have some kind of language barrier, they would help out with translations. When we did the investigations, they would try to write some phrases and words in their language, and we would try to speak it, not very well, of course. but it was a barrier with language. But I do believe that most of them do believe in an afterlife of some sort, and that they are looking for some answers. Whether it jives with what we believe is different. So to that question, yeah, I think they want to know, but trying to communicate that to them in their language is difficult, and based on their beliefs, it may not be the same.
I thought you'd have an answer to that, because I know you speak 16 or 17 languages.
That's very,
Yeah. Oh, oh, sorry.
not even close.
To be sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Out of all the places both of you guys have been, what is the one place you haven't gotten a chance to investigate yet that you're still chomping at the bit to get into, just to experience or do any kind of research at all?
I want to go to the catacombs in France. Like, you know, where people go to die, you know, like in the movies. There's a huge list out there. I haven't been to the most common places in the United States. I've already been to my bucket list, which was Bobby Mackey's. I was there 14 times, and like long before TV even existed with ghost hunters, I was like emailing them, I really want to go to your place. I haven't been to St. Augustine. I haven't been hardly anywhere. But I would say probably the catacombs. Just the mystique of it. You're in a dark tunnel. Nobody knows what's around the corner. No other reason.
Fortunately, I've been to 35, 40 countries during the 3 seasons of investigating. And I did go to the catacombs in France. But it was different. I went in with happy, going on the catacombs and going to witness some great activity, hopefully. But we went. It was kind of somber. We went in smiling and we came out depressed because there was such energy down there with all the bones and what they make out of the bones. Because sometimes they make crosses out of the bones and big pile of bone pyramids. So it's pretty strange. As for in the United States, there's still a lot of places that I haven't been. I haven't been to St. Augustine. I haven't been to Eastern State. I haven't been to Waverly. I haven't been to the Stanley. So there are quite a few places still in the United States that I've been to.
I've been to all those places.
Anybody else?
So I know that there's a lot of teams popping up all over the place nowadays, and they base having their teams from watching shows like Ghost Adventures, and and shows like that really doesn't show the real parallel of what Paranormal Investigations are. What are your thoughts on that, as far as all these new teams coming up just based on the shows that they watch? Not necessarily Ghost Hunters, but other shows that they have, like A Haunting and things like that. And what would be your advice to those teams that are popping up because of that?
That's a good question. I call them the Smedium t-shirt teams. The teams have been around, the teams have been popping up for years. I mean, it hit ahead a long time ago, as well as the TV shows. And unfortunately, there is a little Hollywood magic in those shows. And I'm not by any means whatsoever saying there's faking, okay? By any means. I'm just saying that sometimes the equipment we use may have been handed to us by a producer. I personally used the thermal imaging camera once. Scene was edited out because they didn't want a little blonde girl using a thermal image camera. They wanted Big Rob to do it. So when people say to me all the time, I learned I learned a lot by watching Ghost Hunters, or I don't know what people learn by watching Ghost Adventures, but when they say that, it breaks our hearts because that's not what we all did before we were on TV. Joe, you and I, we're all ghost hunters here. You go to a home and you sit there and you watch grass grow for 6 hours. Your camera's running in another room, you've got audio here. It's not the same. I actually missed it. When I was filming TV, I missed the good old-fashioned investigations where you didn't have to perform and know that there was a camera in front of your face. Do I have a booger in my nose? Is there something in my teeth? It was just a lot less pressure.
Again, I agree with Shannon. Gosh, I just lost my train of thought. I'm getting pretty old. I guess I should be flattered that people are trying to emulate what we do, but I just truly hope that they're doing it for the right reasons and not just in hopes of getting a TV show. And for filming GHI, there were a couple instances where Sci-Fi would send somebody out and try to develop characters for us. Well, on GHI, we all band together and said, no, we are not developing characters. This is supposed to be a reality TV show. So we want to portray what it's really like doing a paranormal investigation like we do, like we all do. So we took a stand. We were like, no, if that's how it's going to be, then we don't want to do the show. So the executive producer did respect that, and they said, okay, we're not going to ask you to fake anything, but we want you to, if you do witness paranormal activity, maybe enhance it a little bit, you know, exaggerate a little bit of what you heard, just so that it comes across on TV as entertainment, because that's all it is entertainment. You know, they want the audience to be enthralled and to be on the edge of the seat. So I understand that. But on the same aspect, we don't want to hurt the paranormal field. We just want to show people what it's like investigating. And for GHI, it's all the beautiful countries and cultures as well. Yes?
Are there a lot of different places in the world that are more prominent for paranormal activity? And is the belief in the paranormal more exaggerated or more in some parts of different countries or whatever?
She's asking if there's more paranormal spots somewhere else in the world, and are their beliefs technically more superstitious, or do they believe more than other people? When I went to Scotland, you know, basically Edinburgh's built with limestone, so there's a theory out there that the limestone rock can hold in energy. Can we prove it? I don't know, but you know, you hear England has a lot of ghosts and all these other places. The United States is very young compared to Europe, so common sense would say we might not have as many ghosts as they do in other parts of the world, but again, no one can prove it. Yes, there are different parts of the world that definitely are a lot more superstitious, or they definitely believe in ghosts more than other countries. I mean, even the United States today, within the last 5 years, according to a survey, people believe in ghosts more than ever in the United States because of all the TV shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State. Everybody's becoming more and more open-minded. So that changes by the day, that number. As far as what countries believe more than others, I don't know, Joe, could you answer that?
I think that in the United States, because of the TV shows, the word's getting out there that it's okay to talk about ghosts and hauntings. But I think overseas, they've been that way for a very long time. And we don't want to interfere with their beliefs, so we'll respect that. Yeah, they're more, much more rich history involved because of the ages of some of the countries like Peru, you know, 1200 BC. People were experiencing things, so we kind of got to tread lightly and not to step on their beliefs. But yeah, I say United States is relatively young in believing in spirits versus the countries that I've been to. I think we've got to end it. I'm sorry. I'm getting a signal. We got to cut it. So thank you, everybody.